Remember to put away your laundry or the ghosts will steal your socks. I'm your temporary host, Sam Enfield, and this is the Spirit Box Radio Advice and Community segment. I have some good news about Madame Marie. Well, I say good. It's actually fairly neutral. And when I say it's about Madame Marie, I mean conjecturally. And when I say it's news, I mean that in a way it's news, and in a lot of ways it doesn't actually say anything about Madame Marie at all. Still, it is something, and that's more than we've had for a few weeks. Before I get off on that, I've been practicing my tarot. I had some excellent advice from someone named Aladi, who sent me a lovely long telegram explaining better techniques and what sort of things I can do to improve my readings. We've had a couple of requests for readings, despite my somewhat disastrous reading last week. Stephen from Newport wants me to ask the cards whether or not it would be a good idea for him to propose to his partner. Okay, so I'm pulling out the Six of Swords. So, according to Aladi and the books I've been consulting, 6 is all about balance and stability and a need to restore a sense of equilibrium. And swords are about decision-making and stuff going on in the mind, which I think means the decision you need to make needs to be informed by your need for stability. I'm not really sure where that leaves you in terms of your proposal, Stephen, but I suppose you need to be led by your head as much as your heart in this. And bear in mind that this is going to be a decision about your entire future and not just a wedding day. I think that seems to be about right. Right? Yeah. Our next reading request is from Tammy in Edgware. She wants to know whether it was wise to sell her goose. Okay, Tammy. I'll consult the cards on that one for you, I suppose. And I've drawn... death! Well, that's okay, I suppose, because death isn't really to do with death, I've been reliably told. It's more about new beginnings, so I suppose it was a good call to sell the goose, and both you and they get to have a fresh start now, I think. Yeah, that sounds about right. Now, I suppose we should really get back to that email from Kitty the investigator. It's just that, I don't know. You can probably tell that I'm reluctant. It's not that I don't get on with Kitty, I get on with her just fine. I mean, I can get on with anyone just fine, if I put my mind to it. But Janet the Tarot Witch and Celine the Weather Guy were just a bit easier to talk to. And even Astrid the Janitor had more to say to me than Kitty did. And, I mean, it's pretty clear from her message that she intended it to reach Madame Marie, which I suppose means that the loyal assistants weren't involved in whatever scheme Madame Marie is running. She clearly meant it to go to Madame Marie, so Kitty doesn't know that Marie is gone. And I don't know what to do about that. I could respond to the email, just say, oh, sorry, she's kind of disappeared, but then, what if Kitty were to ask? What if she were to say, Sam, you lowly P.O. Box boy, by what rights are you reading Madame Marie's emails? And I have no idea what to say to her because, I feel it in my bones, that Madame Marie would want the community and advice segment to keep running. She was always so keen to keep it going. It was important, she said, and it put life into the Spirit Box skipping we play the rest of the time on the channel, It's not definite. It's not like I was told to do this. I don't know. I just kind of know, Faithful listeners, I must be honest with you because I think I may have understated the extent to which I really was not allowed into the recording room before Madame Marie disappeared. But the door was just ajar that morning, and when I woke up, I felt like I'd already made the decision to do it somehow, even though I fully expected to sort the P.O. Box stuff and leave it in the trays by the door like I usually do, and maybe see Salim or Astrid or Janet on their way down to run a segment, or maybe even Kitty on her way off to some grand adventure, but that isn't what I found. I just found the door. The open door. There were no trays left out for me to fill with sorted posts. There was no sign lit up saying on the air, just the door stood ajar like it never was. And beyond the door I saw the steps down into the recording studio, and there was this smell like popcorn and stale air, and I don't know. Oh, I don't like this. Not one bit. but I don't know what else I can do. And I just can't make sense of Kitty's email. Like I said about the tarot readings, I'm sure Madame Marie will get to it upon her return, but I just don't know when that will be, although surely it must be soon. She's never been gone this long before, not that I can remember. And it's just that it seems so important, and if I can't reach Madame Marie and Kitty doesn't even know she's missing, then, well, I don't know. So I feel like this is all I could do, being so spiritually challenged and so outside the loop. I have to become a loyal assistant and put this out there to you, faithful listeners. Perhaps Madame Marie is listening from wherever she has gone, but I don't know. I hope she is. All I know is I can't just leave this email unattended. I just can't. I'm letting myself get wound up. I shouldn't let myself get wound up. Okay, the email. M. It's K. I've reached the place, the old house. It's as you suspected. Nothing has changed except, well, everything has changed. The low wall of the garden is there, the bushes by the path, except they are larger now. The windows light in the evenings as though there are people that live inside. While I sat and watched, I even caught glimpses of movement in the corner of my eye, though always in the windows I was not looking at and never the ones where I was. Standing by the gate, looking up at the house, you get a sense of invitation. Well, not invitation exactly, really, it's warmth, friendliness. Standing there, I thought, oh, I shouldn't knock now, they'll be busy doing something wholesome. And I listened to that instinct, somehow not realising the strangeness of it, the wrongness of a sense of knowing, of familiarity with a family I did not know. It was not until I had left the gate, walked down the street, and when I was stood on the corner about to cross the road that it struck me how odd it was that I had walked away. I'd come so far just to see the house, just to go inside, to investigate. Sam always calls me Kitty the Investigator, doesn't he? So why had I walked away? I turned back and walked back towards the house. I stood at the gate and it washed over me again. A sense of quiet familiarity, fondness, a certainty that now was not the time. I should come back later, perhaps tomorrow. They were busy now. I was almost back at the corner when I realised I'd done it again. I had left, abandoned my purpose. Whatever energy surrounds this house, it is powerful. The third time I approached the house, I was holding it firmly in my head that I was going to go into the house. I was going to walk across the garden and up to the front door and knock, and if there was no answer, which I'm sure there won't be because we have no reason to believe the house exists except for people's accounts for it. So when I got no answer to my knock, I was going to go inside. Only I just couldn't. I got to the gate and I felt it all again. They were busy. I didn't want to interrupt them. I'd come back tomorrow, maybe the day after, and before I knew what I was doing, I was back on the corner. I have to say, it's a lot better than the defence mechanisms a lot of these things throw out. Foreboding's got to work maybe 40-45% of the time, but mostly I bet it just makes more people curious. It also makes them remember. I'm going back to my hotel now. I'm going to work on a strategy and, well, I'm going to go back tomorrow. Regards, Kitty. And that's it. That's the end. I don't know. It makes me feel wrong reading this. It's probably just because it's meant for Madame Marie and not for me, but at the same time, I don't know, it feels bigger, worse than that. I don't know. I can't explain it. It's almost like, well, I don't want to pry. I don't know, but it doesn't matter. Never mind. Oh my God, my head. Oh, my hands are shaking. I haven't felt like this since, well, I don't know. I guess I've never felt like this and I'm just imagining it. It's out there now. Madame Marie, if you're listening, then maybe hurry back and try to give Kitty some advice. Or you could just log into your email from wherever it is you've gone to. Maybe just drop her a line, just let her know what she should be doing, you know? Anyway, so I suppose we should talk about the augury forecast for this week. I was cleaning the studio bathroom and I found it sitting on the pipes under the sink. I didn't know what it was at first. It was folded into a little origami crane and it was pretty caked in dust. When I pulled it out, though, I could see a bit of writing over the edge of one of the wings, so I unfolded it. The handwriting is loopy. Real fancy looking, you know. I figure maybe it's Salim's handwriting, as this augury forecast is a little bit more weather focused than others I've seen. But beggars can't be choosers, and at any rate, it is marked as representing this week. So, the augury forecast. A brief shower 3 Thursdays ago indicates this week might be a good one for revisiting with an old hobby or pastime. If you used to knit or cross-stitch or corpse bother, now is a good time to pick it up again. Storm clouds above the horizon as the flocks of starlings return from their winters away suggest that as the nights draw in, you should be mindful of where you leave your freshly cleaned clothes. Clothes left out too long under these conditions may attract unwanted pests, particularly socks and warm cardigans, which wandering spirits are known to be fond of. Due to the orientation of the birds in the bird bath the morning I wrote this, it is likely a good idea to avoid large purchases this month. Wednesday next week will have several heavy, sudden showers. Take an umbrella if you intend to go out for a walk. If your name is Lewis, Louise, Lois, Lewis, Louisa, Laurel or Andrew, you will want to avoid business dealings towards the end of the week if they involve personal investment. It's not worth your life, it's really not. You have so much to live for. I swear to you it's more important than that. New bikes won't make them love you. The way you get them back is to spend more time listening. Please, phone them. Don't do this. I swear to you it's not the way. And that concludes the augury forecast for this week. Hopefully I'll hear back from Salim soon enough that I can line up another augury forecast for you soon. It would just be so nice to hear from him, or Janet, or Astrid, or Madame Marie ideally. I've been looking for some kind of info about them, a phone number, email address, anything like that, but I don't think Madame Marie formally employs anyone, so there's no payroll and there's no contracts or anything like that for me to reference. I could ask Kitty when I reply to her email, I suppose. But I don't even know if I should reply to her, to be honest. The email wasn't really meant for me, you know? Besides, she doesn't know Madame Marie is missing. What would I even say to her? Not that she's missing in a missing person sort of way, just gone. Like, she'll be back. I know she'll be back. She has to be back. I'm sure of it. 3 weeks is a long time, but it's not the longest time, you know? I mean, I'd have liked a heads up by this point, really. Strictly speaking, but perhaps that's not going to, I'm sure she's fine. She's fine, right? She has to be fine. She's Madame Marie, renowned psychic extraordinaire. She knows what she's doing. She always knows what to expect. She's psychic. That's sort of part of the job description. As much as I'm enjoying being your temporary host, faithful listeners, I do wonder how much longer I'm going to have to keep this up for. I mean, I can sort of pull tarot cards properly now, but I'm hardly a skilled card reader and, well, I don't have any co-innate ability. I never get a good sense of what's to come. I don't ever feel a supernatural presence. To be honest, I struggle to know whether or not my crumpets have toasted enough most of the time. And as much reading as I've done, well, I've tried to do, I'm hardly an expert on the little spells and things that Madame Marie and Janet use for good luck and such like, and I'm just... Oh, faithful listeners, another email from Kitty. She says, Sam, stop reading my emails on the radio. Stop reading my emails at all. Just stop. That sounded a lot worse than I meant it to. How are you even in the studio? Doesn't let you down there. You can't be down there. Ha, that old chestnut. Yeah, well, I did say she's a little bit, well, she's missing and I wasn't sure how to tell you she's gone, Kitty, but I'm sure she'll be back. She has to be back soon. And it's not like I'm not allowed down here exactly. It's more like, well, Madame Marie said it's because the space is so narrow, it's inconvenient to have more people in the studio than absolutely necessary, and I shouldn't come down here because it's bad for me, because it just is. I think she was being overcautious. I respect Madame Marie's wishes, but, you know, she's gone, and she loved this radio show more than anything, and I know that you, faithful listeners, you meant the world to her, so I couldn't just let things run cold. Oh, another email. She says, stop reading my emails out loud. Sorry, I don't... Oh, now she's calling me. I'm sorry, faithful listeners, I have to go. Tune in next week for another episode of the Advice and Community segment at Spirit Box Radio. I've been Sam Enfield. Goodbye. Spirit Box Radio is distributed by Hanging Soul Studios under a Creative Commons Attribution 4.0 international license. The show was created, directed and produced by me, Ada Major, the voice of Sam Enfield. Music is by Maybe Wednesday. Find out more about us at hangingsoulstudios.wordpress.com, where you'll also find transcripts of all of our episodes. You can support the show at patreon.com/Hanging Soul Studios. Spirit Box Radio is recorded in front of a dead studio audience.
Tune in, get spooky.